Welcome to week 7 of MGT6145.E1 Foundations of Project Delivery. Today, we'll continue our focus on project execution by examining what it takes to complete project work effectively. The main idea is that project execution is not just task completion, it's active coordination across the people, practices, and external resources needed to deliver project value. Week 7 examines how execution completes work through people, quality, and sourcing. In this section, we continue our focus on project execution. Last week, we looked at how project work begins and how execution moves plans into action. This week, we'll go deeper into what it takes to complete project work effectively. We'll start by looking at execution as a coordinated delivery system, then discuss how project work functions as an integrated system. From there, we'll focus on team culture and leadership because execution depends heavily on how people communicate, collaborate, and stay accountable. We'll also examine how quality is built into the work during execution, not simply inspected at the end. Then we'll move into procurement and sourcing, including how PMBOK 8 reframes much of procurement execution as an organizational function that still requires strong project coordination. Finally, we'll connect this week's execution topics to next week's focus on project performance management. Execution moves from starting the work to coordinating the people, practices, and external resources needed to complete it. Today, we move deeper into what it takes to complete project work effectively. The second part of our study of project execution shifts our attention towards people, practices, quality expectations, and sourcing decisions that must be coordinated during delivery. The main point is that execution is not only about starting activities or keeping people busy, it's about integrating the work into a delivery system that can produce useful results. So as we move into week 7, we're asking a slightly different question. Not just how does the project work begin, but how do we coordinate the people, practices, and external resources needed to complete the project work well? Execution turns plans into coordinated project work. This slide brings us back to the basic meaning of project execution. At this point in the project, the team is no longer only defining, planning, or preparing the work, the team is now doing the work. Execution includes performing the activities described in the project management plan, coordinating resources, communicating with stakeholders, and producing the deliverables the project was created to complete. PMI describes executing as the work performed to complete the project management plan and satisfy project requirements. The main point is that execution is not a random activity. It's coordinated work. The project manager helps the team stay aligned with the plan while also responding to the realities that appear once the project is underway. This is where the project management becomes very practical. Plans provide direction, but execution reveals whether those plans are clear, realistic, and useful. Project work requires integration. Project work succeeds when the pieces stay connected. Here, we build on the idea that execution is coordinated work. In practice, project work does not happen in isolated pieces. Scope, schedule, resources, quality, risk, communication, stakeholders, and procurement all influence one another. For example, if a vendor delivery is late, the schedule may be affected. If the schedule changes, resources may need to be reassigned. If resources are rushed, quality may suffer. If quality problems appear, stakeholders may lose confidence or request changes. One of the project manager's major responsibilities during execution is integration. The project manager helps a team understand how different parts of the project fit together and how a decision in one area may create effects somewhere else. It's important to point out that project management is not just a list of separate tools. It's a connected system of decisions and actions that supports delivery. The project manager coordinates the work system. The project manager keeps work aligned and moving. Here, we focus on the project manager's role during execution. Once project work is underway, someone has to keep all of the moving parts aligned, and that's a major part of the project manager's responsibility. The project manager is not just tracking tasks. The role is broader than that. The project manager helps coordinate people, resources, communication, issues, changes, and priorities so the project continues moving towards its intended outcomes. In practical terms, this means helping the team stay focused on the work that matters, resolving problems when they appear, supporting decisions, and making sure that changes in one area are understood across the project. If work begins to drift, the communication breaks down. If work begins to drift, if communication breaks down, or if issues are ignored, execution becomes harder and performance can quickly suffer. For this course, the key idea is simple. The project manager helps the project operate as a connected work system rather than a collection of separate tasks. Team culture affects how project work gets done. Now that we've looked at execution as coordinated project work, we need to focus on the people doing that work. Project execution depends heavily on the project's team culture. Team culture is the shared way the team communicates, solves problems, handles conflicts, supports one another, and stays accountable. It affects whether people raise issues early or hide them. It affects whether the team members collaborate or work in silos. It also affects whether the team can adapt when the project does not go exactly as planned. For this course, the important point is that culture is not separate from performance. It directly influences how well the team completes work, responds to problems, and maintains quality. So as we move deeper into execution, we're not only asking what work needs to be done, we're also asking what kind of team helps that work get done well. Leadership turns team effort into coordinated performance. This slide continues the discussion of team culture by focusing on leadership. During execution, leadership is not only about giving instructions or assigning tasks, it's about helping the team stay focused, aligned, and productive while the work is happening. Project teams often face schedule pressure, resource constraints, changing stakeholder expectations, and unexpected problems. In those moments, leadership helps clarify priorities, support decision making, resolve conflict, and keep the team moving forward. This is also where coaching and mentoring become important. A project manager may need to help team members build confidence, develop skills, or understand how their work contributes to the overall project. Strong leadership creates the conditions for people to perform well. The main point is that execution depends on both management and leadership. Management helps organize the work, while leadership helps people stay engaged, accountable, and ready to respond when the project environment changes. High-performing teams are developed during execution. Strong teams are built while the project is underway. This slide builds on the leadership discussion by emphasizing that high-performing teams do not usually appear automatically. They are developed through the work of the project. During execution, the project manager pays attention to how the team is functioning. Are the roles clear? Are people communicating well? Are there gaps in skills or confidence? Are conflicts being addressed or avoided? These questions matter because team performance affects project performance. The key idea is that managing the team is not only about assigning work, it also includes supporting collaboration, developing capability, resolving issues, and helping people perform together. The project manager's leadership role is especially important when the team is under pressure or when the work becomes more complex than expected. Quality is built into the work. Quality improves when it's built into execution. Now we shift from team performance into quality management. In project execution, quality should not be treated as something that only happens at the end of the project. If the team waits until final inspection to think about quality, problems may already be expensive, disruptive, or difficult to correct. Instead, quality needs to be built into the way the work is performed. That means using agreed standards, following defined processes, reviewing work as it progresses, and correcting problems early. The main idea is that quality is both a deliverable issue and a process issue. The project team needs to ask whether the final product meets expectations, but also whether the way the team is doing the work supports reliable results. This connects directly to execution because project work is where quality expectations become visible. If the work process is unclear, rushed, or inconsistent, the final deliverable is more likely to have defects, rework, or stakeholder dissatisfaction. Managed quality applies quality expectations during the work. This slide builds on the idea that quality is built into execution. In planning, the team defines quality expectations and standards. During execution, the team has to put those expectations into practice. Managed quality focuses on making sure that the project team is using the right processes, tools, and techniques to meet quality requirements. It's not only about checking the final product, it's also about improving how the work is performed while the project is still underway. This matters because many quality problems begin in the work process. If the process is unclear, inconsistent, or rushed, defects and rework become more likely. Managing quality helps the team identify where problems are coming from and improve the way work is completed. The key point is that quality management is proactive. It helps the team prevent problems, strengthen the work process, and increase the likelihood that deliverables will meet stakeholder expectations. Quality protects value the project is meant to deliver. This slide connects quality management to the broader purpose of project delivery. Quality is not only about meeting a technical standard or passing an inspection, it's about making sure the project result is useful, acceptable, and capable of delivering the value stakeholders expected. When quality is weak, the project may still produce something, but it doesn't mean the project has delivered value. Defects, rework, delays, and dissatisfaction can reduce the usefulness of the deliverable and damage stakeholder confidence. When quality is managed during execution, the team is more likely to produce deliverables that are reliable, accepted, and aligned with stakeholder needs. That protects the connection between the project work and the project value. The project team is not only trying to finish the work, the team is trying to finish the work that meets expectations and supports the purpose of the project. Project execution brings external resources into the project. Now we shift from quality execution into procurement execution. Not every project relies heavily on external suppliers, but many projects require goods, services, equipment, expertise, or contracted work from outside the project team. During planning, the project team identifies what needs to be procured and how procurement should be approached. During execution, the team begins putting that plan into action. This is where potential sellers or suppliers are contacted, responses are reviewed, proposals or bids are evaluated, and agreements are negotiated and awarded. The key point is that procurement is not just purchasing, it's a project execution activity that helps secure the resources, services, or capabilities needed to complete the work. Once a vendor is selected, the project manager and team also need to integrate that vendor into the project work. That means clarifying expectations, communication channels, schedules, deliverables, quality requirements, and performance responsibilities. PMBOK 8 treats procurement as a sourcing decision. This slide extends the traditional conduct procurements view by noting that how PMBOK 8 frames procurement more strategically. Procurement is viewed less as a standalone project management execution sequence and more of a broader sourcing. In that framing, much of the detailed procurement execution work may be handled as an organizational or enterprise function rather than performed directly by the project manager. This doesn't mean procurement stops mattering to the project team. It means the project manager and team need to understand the sourcing process well enough to coordinate it effectively. They still need to define what is needed, clarify requirements, support timing decisions, help evaluate whether outside capability is appropriate, and make sure the sourced goods or services fit the project's delivery needs. An important takeaway is that procurement may not always be something that the project manager fully controls, but it is still something the project manager must actively coordinate. If the sourcing strategy is not aligned with project scope, schedule, quality needs, and delivery timing, the project performance can suffer. Procurement choices can change project performance. Procurement decisions matter to overall project performance. When a project uses external suppliers, vendors, contractors, or service providers, those sourcing choices become part of the project's delivery system. A vendor may provide a needed capability, but that also creates dependencies. If the supplier is late, the project schedule may be affected. If contract terms are unclear, cost or scope disputes may appear. If the vendor's work doesn't meet quality expectations, the team may face rework, delays, or stakeholder dissatisfaction. Procurement should not be viewed only as a purchasing transaction. It's connected to schedule performance, cost control, quality outcomes, risk exposure, and stakeholder confidence. The practical takeaway is that the project manager doesn't need to be a contracting specialist, but the project manager does need to understand how procurement choices affect the project. Procurement must be coordinated with the project plan, schedule, budget, quality expectations, and delivery needs. Execution practices must fit the delivery approach. Delivery approach changes how execution is coordinated. Since we've already discussed predictive, adaptive, and hybrid delivery approaches, this slide extends that discussion rather than repeating it. The key point here is that the delivery approach changes how execution practices are applied. Team leadership, quality management, procurement, and communication are all still important in every project, but they may look different depending on the project environment. In a predictive project, the emphasis is often on role clarity, formal coordination, defined requirements, quality checkpoints, and structured reporting. That does not mean predictive projects are rigid, but they usually rely more heavily on the approved plan and formal control points. In adaptive or hybrid environments, execution often requires more frequent feedback, shorter coordination cycles, and stronger team collaboration, and more flexibility in how work is adjusted. Quality may be validated incrementally, and procurement may involve staged commitments or closer vendor collaboration when requirements are still evolving. The practical takeaway is that project managers do not abandon execution fundamentals when the delivery approach changes. Instead, they tailor how those fundamentals are applied. Execution improves when teams learn and adjust as work unfolds. This slide brings together several ideas from the presentation. Execution is not simply a matter of following the plan until all tasks are finished. Once work is underway, the team has to pay attention to what's happening and make adjustments as needed. That includes learning from issues, defects, stakeholder feedback, team challenges, procurement delays, and quality problems. The goal is not to change direction constantly, but to use what the team is learning to improve how work is performed. This connects well with team leadership, quality management, and procurement. A team may need to adjust how it communicates to improve a work process, clarify vendor expectations, or address a recurring quality issue. In each case, the project manager helps the team turn experience into better execution. The key takeaway is that the project execution is active management. The project manager and the team are continuously observing, coordinating, learning, and adjusting so the project can keep moving towards successful delivery. Execution succeeds when people, quality, and sourcing stay aligned. As we close, the main point is that execution is more than doing assigned tasks. Execution is where project plans are tested through real work, real people, real constraints, and real decisions. This week we focused on three major parts of execution. First, team culture and leadership influence how well people communicate, collaborate, solve problems, and stay accountable. Second, quality has to be managed during the project work, not only inspected at the end. And third, procurement and sourcing decisions can affect schedule, cost, quality, risk, and stakeholder confidence. We also connected these ideas to delivery approach. Predictive, adaptive, and hybrid projects may coordinate execution differently, but each still requires disciplined attention to people, quality, communication, and external resources. The key takeaway is that project managers help the delivery system to stay aligned. They coordinate the work, support the team, protect quality, connect sourcing decisions to project needs, and help the team learn and adjust as execution unfolds. This week's work connects execution concepts to project delivery practice. This slide connects the lecture to the work you'll complete this week. The goal is not only to remember the terms, but it's also to use these concepts to think more clearly about how project work actually gets completed. As you work through the readings, the videos, discussion, or assignments, pay attention to how execution depends on coordination. Team culture and leadership shape how people perform the work. Quality management helps protect the usefulness of the deliverables. Procurement and sourcing decisions bring outside capability into the project, but they also introduce dependencies that must be coordinated. The larger point is that project execution is where plans, people, quality expectations, and sourcing decisions come together. Strong project managers help those pieces stay aligned so the project can deliver value. Looking ahead to Week 8 shifts from completing work to measuring performance. Next week, we'll move from project execution into project performance measurement. This is a natural next step because once the project work is being performed, the project manager and team need to know whether the project is progressing as expected. That means looking at how progress is observed, how performance is measured, and how project information is communicated to support decisions. It also means asking whether the project is on track in terms of schedule, cost, scope, quality, stakeholder expectations, and delivered value. Week 7 focused on how project work is completed through people, quality, and sourcing. Week 8 extends that by asking how we know whether that work is producing the expected performance. That is the end of the presentation. So as we close, I just want to acknowledge that your engagement in this course strengthens the learning community and the project management mindset we're building together. And with that, the end, and thank you.